I am Charlie Hibbert, and this is the Great British Chef's Signature Series. I like to cook what I would want to eat at home. Fresh ingredients, cooked really well, nothing too fancy. It's about the enjoyment. Respect for the produce is a huge part of our philosophy. They deserve to be cooked beautifully and used fresh that day. As a family, we always used to entertain, and that's really stuck with me. I think food is definitely about being with friends and being with family, and that's what I love about it most. We are making a chicken, barley and morel dish. Morels are a delicious early spring mushroom, and they have a very short season, and they pair very, very nicely with chicken. So we start with a red onion, which we dice nice and finely. It doesn't need to be perfect. Onions are one of my favourite things. We grow them in the garden as well, and we use them while they're young as nice salad onions. And when they get to main crop, we kind of save them and dry them, tie them, and use them throughout the year. So we have a couple of garlic cloves in as well at the beginning, which just lightly crush, peel off any outer skin. Just roughly chop them, and really love vegetarian food. It's healthier and actually should be a huge part of any dish that you create, because it's not just the meat being the key element, it's everything. So the onions and the garlic go on to sweat down gently. Now we're just going to peel a potato. It's quite a large potato, so we might not need the whole thing. And this will just give it a little bit of body and a little bit of structure. I'm just going to give it a rough dice. So onions are sweated and are nice and translucent. So we're going to put in the potato and just give it a little stir, and back on the heat for 2 minutes. And while that's happening, we've got our beautiful dried morels. So they're a lovely, delicate and earthy mushroom. They come out in sort of late February and March, and they are highly prized because of their short growing season. For this, I've chosen to use dried morels just because as you reconstitute them in a little bit of boiling water, you get a lovely mushroom stock ready-made that we can use. Now the morels are reconstituted, we're going to just drain off the liquid and add in the morels. That's your lovely mushroom stock that gets left over, which will give the dish a little bit of colour at the end. Morels go into the base, and you can smell them. They're really kind of nice and heady and earthy. And that goes in along with our barley, which is a huge crop grown all over the world. It's definitely in the top 4 along with rice, and I really think it's underused in most cooking. So that's ready to go. We're going to add in the mushroom stock and also some lovely chicken stock as well that we make in-house. We try and use whole animals as much as possible, and we'll make all of our stocks with the bones, so there's as little waste as possible. And that's really important in our cooking as well, especially with us having a farm. You want to be respectful to the people who have grown it, but also the produce itself. It's really important. You want to add a little bit extra because the barley's going to be absorbing the chicken stock. Just make sure the barley's covered, otherwise you'll end up with crunchy, crispy grains at the end. We're just adding in 6 chopped sage leaves and a bay leaf as well, just to add a little sort of dimension to the finished dish. Our final thing to do while the barley is cooking is to put the chicken in. We've got a pan preheating on the back, and we're just going to pour over a little bit of vegetable oil just to coat the chicken, and we're going to season the skin quite heavily before it goes into the pan with a little bit of pepper on top too. And a hot pan is important to get a really beautiful crispy skin on your chicken. We're just going to add in a couple of small onions to roast alongside it. You want to leave the skin on because it'll protect the onion and make sure it doesn't burn. If you take the skin off, you'll have a dried layer of skin and all the moisture will escape. It's really important to have a heavy cast iron or a good heavy based pan. It holds the heat better, it protects the chicken as well from the direct heat of a stove or an oven, and it'll mean you get a nice even crisp on your chicken or anything else you cook. So just to finish, while the barley cooks, the chicken goes in as well for about 25 minutes, and then we'll check it and allow it to rest. Carefully lift it out. It's been about 25 minutes and the chicken is out. We've got a nice crisp skin. And we're just going to lift them out to one side. And we're just going to pour in a small glass of white wine, which forms a lovely sauce for drizzling over the finished dish. I'm just going to pop it back on the heat just to let it bubble up. And that's it. In the meantime, we're just going to check our barley and mushrooms. Just going to give it a little season with plenty of pepper and a little bit of salt. It's still very hot, but it's nicely seasoned. It's earthy and mushroomy, and the barley still has a little bit of bite and a good amount of body to it. We're going to just let that sit, let the chicken sit, and then we'll put it all on a plate together. Got a big sharing plate. We're going to take a nice big plume of watercress. I'm just going to pop that there. I'm just going to add plenty of the barley onto the base of the plate. Make sure there's lots of mushrooms as well. I'm going to take the chicken, and just so everyone has a piece of leg and a piece of breast, if they so want, I'm just going to go straight through the bone. So once we've done that, I'm just going to arrange the chicken. Just to finish off, we've got the resting juices of the chicken, which goes over the top, and just a spot of chopped parsley and a drizzle of olive oil. And just take your little roast onions, which are nicely caramelised on the bottom, and dot them around along with the chicken. And there we are. That is roast chicken with barley and morels.